invitation, but it didn't go through. Let me try to send them an invitation right now. Let me see, Ray. Quick invite settings. Hey Ray, if you're on, can you send me is this a hearing? No, it's not. Can you send me another invite? It didn't the invite you sent me didn't go through. Let me see here, co-host, settings, introduction. Where is this? Hey, thank you, Stevie. Highly appreciate that. Allow from friends. Allow from friends. Let's see right here. All right, so for anybody that's tuning in right now, we're going to be doing an interview right here today. We're going to try something a little bit different. And here we got it. Something went wrong. What's going on? Yeah, I'm not sure why the invitation. I got your invitation, Ray. It's just not. It's just something went wrong when I try to connect it. Try. It seems like the co-host is not working. Can you try multi-guest? Try sending me an invite via the hearings will be tomorrow. Yeah. Let me see multi-guest here. Invite. Right. Okay. Something went wrong. Something's not working on my end that is not allowing me to send the invites. That's weird. You know what, Silas? Let me cut it. I'm gonna cut it off. Well, you're good. You're good. I'm gonna cut off the TikTok and I'm gonna try to set it back up and check if that fixes it.
All right. Did you want me to hang up and give you a call back?
No, you're good. You're good. I want to make sure everything works before we close this down here, and I'll open it back up right now. It is YT is up. YT is up for Maricopa right now. They're asking me if I'm up on YouTube right now. If it doesn't work like this, I'll just have him call in and then we'll just do it via phone, Silas.
Okay.
All right. Let me see right here. Okay, so it's just booting back up and okay, let me okay. Oh, what the hell? Access. Oh shit! This is my account got suspended. It won't be available until the 31st tomorrow. Damn. I'll have to switch.
Which account was that?
The small one.
Oh, okay.
Let me log into the other one. Yeah, log out. Hey, let me see. I'm gonna cut this stream right now. I'll be right back. Let me see here. There's something. Hey, so when the yard goes down, Silas, they don't shut off the kiosk.
Yeah, well, they technically don't shut them off, but you have to sit down on the ground, so you can't you know, you can't see anything when you're on the kiosk. You're on the ground level, and the video is just like over your head.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I remember that.
Technically, don't shut them off, but and I mean, we've even talked to the captain because they have stools that you sit on, and you know, if you're on a video call sitting down at a stool, like it seems kind of nonsensical to have to get off the stool and sit down on the floor. You're already at a sitting position, but she wasn't going for it. They want people to sit fully down on the ground when an alarm goes off.
Oh, okay. Okay, so I almost got the other account set up.
Kind of defeats that. I mean,
let me see. Let me send another message to Ray to let him know. Hopefully they didn't ban this account. This will be so. This will be crazy. All right. Let's see. Okay, I'm almost set up, Silas. I just gotta see my QR code. And shit.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
I'm trying to send this stupid link. Okay, so I'm gonna try to go live right now, and then I'll send them a link right now. Okay, so we're live on that one. No sound detected. That's good. All right. And let me see co-host. All right, how is everybody doing today? Anybody that's tuning in? Hey, what up? Hugo, James just hopped on, chilling. Right, hey, welcome on 90s YA baby. Let's see here. Now I gotta look up Ray's account. Let's see. Copy. Okay, here we go. All right. Right now, a little bit. I'm setting up right now. Thank you.
were you able to get the video up on his end?
So right now I'm waiting. So because I was sending him an invite for the, or he sent me an invite for the multi-guest, but it wasn't going through. I guess because my account got banned for a day or whatever, for whatever reason. So right now I'm just waiting for him to either try to come in or let me I'll try to look for him. What's up with today? We're doing an interview today. I'm just setting everything up right now, so I'm not focused on the screen just quite yet right now. I'm trying to set everything up. Let me see here. Friends. Okay. Okay, here we go. Hopefully this one goes through. Okay, I think we are. Hello, Ray.
Hey, what's going on, bro?
All right. Okay, so I guess we'll go ahead and do it like this, Ray. It's my other account for whatever reason. It seems like it got banned for a day or so. I'm not sure what I did, but It was just working, so I'm not sure. Okay, guys. So, oh, you know what? This did you send a co-host or did you do a multi? We did a co-host, huh?
I think I did. I don't know what I did, man. You know, I'm just new at this thing. Let me see.
Let me try to
Can you see the camera?
Okay, that's what I'm trying to do right now. Yeah, I'm expanding it right now. Like I said, this is my first time doing it like this, so it's definitely something new that we're.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
Okay, there we go. We got you, Ray. Oh yeah, that's right. Okay, hey, so I want to go ahead and welcome Ray Jennings.
Hey, James, before you get started, I might want to call back just so we get the full 15 minutes.
Okay, all right, for sure. All right, cool. That'll work, Silas. Okay. All right, Ray. All right, so we just wait we'll go ahead and wait for Silas to call back, and then we'll go ahead and continue.
All right. Yeah, I'm just down here kicking it at my mama's house. I'm in my son's room.
Okay. Do you know how much time you got on your hands right now?
I'm good until about 6 o'clock my time.
Okay. That'll work. Man. All right, there we go. We got the call coming in. Let me just pick it up.
This call is now being recorded. Link. You have a prepaid call from
Silas Johnson,
an incarcerated individual at the Centinela State Prison, Centinela, California. This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. To accept this call, say or dial 5 now. Thank you for using Global Tel Link.
Hello, Silas.
Okay, I'm here.
Okay. So today we're going to be doing something that we haven't attempted before. We're going to be having Silas Johnson, which is currently incarcerated in Centinela State Prison, and we currently got Ray Jennings. You guys might be familiar with him if you guys if you guys watch Dateline NBC. He came on in a few episodes. One of them was The Man That Knew Too Much, and another one was The Girl in the Blue Mustang. And we're gonna have Silas Johnson interviewing Ray, and I'll be just moderating and whatnot, and I might be asking a question or two. So I'm gonna go ahead and hand it off to Silas, and it's all you, Silas, right there.
All right. Hey, good afternoon. Hey, what's up? This is Silas and Johnson, and I want to thank everyone and welcome everyone for joining us stateside and abroad to CollectCallFrom. As James noted, we have a special guest joining us today, Mr. Raymond Jennings. And Raymond, I want to thank you for sitting in with us today.
Oh, yeah, man. Appreciate it, man. Nice meeting you, brother. Hope all is well on your end, man.
Absolutely, man. I'm maintaining, man. Likewise. So for those of you who are familiar, in the year 2000, Raymond Jennings was an Iraq war veteran employed as a security guard at a parking lot in Palmdale, California, when the unthinkable occurred. Michelle O'Keefe, a 19-year-old college student and aspiring actress, was murdered in her brand new blue Ford Mustang. Ray Jennings was working that night in the first witness police interview. Raymond told investigators he never saw the shooting, but police used information from his interview to cast him as their prime suspect. What followed is one of the more stunning injustices I've seen. In 2005, Sergeant Raymond Lee Jennings was arrested for murder, and after 3 trials, he was sentenced to life in prison. After serving 11 years of his sentence, Raymond was exonerated and freed from prison. I learned about Raymond's story during an episode of NBC Dateline titled The Man Who Knew Too Much. Raymond is joining us today to discuss his ordeal and shed some light on what happens when the system fails. So first, I want to go back to that night, before that night, actually. And before that, I want to thank you for your service to our country.
Thank you. I appreciate it, brother.
Absolutely, man. So what was it like for you coming home from the war?
Actually, it was pretty trying, I had been gone for a good part of a year. And I had, at that time, I had 4 young children at my house. My daughter was actually, one of my children lived out here in North Carolina, but Just the reintegration part to my family and trying to establish myself back in my household was pretty challenging, actually.
Right. Were there any parallels that you saw after your release from prison to the reintegration process that you experienced coming home as a veteran?
In a way, yes, and in a way, no. So, at that time, my children were very young when I was arrested and actually, came home from Iraq. I had been home for a month before they arrested me. So, to put it in perspective, my youngest daughter was 5 months old. And when I got out, I was celebrating her 11th birthday. So trying to integrate or reintegrate with my children who are now young adults was more than a challenge. And even to this day, it's still a challenge. Yeah.
Wow. I can't even imagine that. I mean, I can't even imagine how difficult that must have been.
Yeah.
So I want to go back to that night in 2000. So how long had you been working security at the parking lot?
That was actually my second night at that particular location. I'd only been on that job or with that security company for about a week and a half, actually. Wow.
And thinking back, was there anything unusual that registered with you now before the shooting?
No, not at all. Everything seemed just fine. I did my normal walk through the parking lot and nothing was out of place. Everything seemed fine until I got back up to the center of the parking lot and a car alarm went off and that caught my attention. I turned around and made my way back towards that car alarm to see what could possibly make that go off. And by the time I got
this
to where
call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
Yeah, by the time I got to where my car was parked at is when I heard an initial shot ring out, and then a few seconds later, a car started rolling backwards, and multiple shots rang out after that.
So now, what was the experience of being in the proximity of a shooting light in that moment?
I mean, it was a little intimidating, a little scary, being to the fact that I was an unarmed security guard. I didn't have any means of protecting myself from, returning fire or anything like that. So the instinct was to find cover and call for backup.
Wow. I was under the impression that you were on. I mean, that must have really been traumatic, not being on and able to defend yourself. So eventually, the police respond to the scene, and you interview with the investigators. Was there a point during questioning where you realized that they were considering you as a suspect?
No, not that night, not at all. Actually, they were very cordial with me. I answered all the questions that they needed me to answer, and even finished off my shift that night because there was a multitude of police presence there. And yeah, I mean, everything seemed, I guess, kosher in a sense, And they never detained me. They never, swabbed my hands for gunpowder residue, and listening to the detectives and the first responders that showed up there immediately after the shooting, they've all stated that, my demeanor, my everything was normal. There was nothing about me that would suggest that I had did something like that.
But you just answered my next questions. Normally during the shooting, they do, a GSR test, which is a gun residue test. They do DNA, they do a DNA swab, and you just mentioned that they did none of those things at night. That seems kind of incredible to me. I think people watch these, crime shows and they just assume that all of this forensic work is done, during these incidents. And a lot of the times, like in your case, it wasn't.
No, not at all. And this happened on a Tuesday night around 9:30. And I did not report to work per my supervisors on Wednesday night, but I did come back Thursday. And I think it was shortly after that Thursday that I went in Friday morning and turned my uniforms and things in and quit. And at that time, unbeknownst to me, at that time, the security company actually bagged my uniform up and secured it. And then the LA detectives actually came and picked that up on Monday morning to run a test on it to see if there was anything on that uniform, whether it be gunpowder residue, blood splatter, and things of that sort.
So all of these years, the interval, between 2000 and 2005, when you were actually arrested, the investigators were in possession of this forensic material.
Correct. They were also, so they were in possession of that. They had already went and ran all the tests on those uniforms, and it came back negative as far as gunpowder residue, blood splatter, or even some of the DNA that was found at the crime scene. All that came back negative against me. And they were also in the possession of the names of a carload of people who were parked about 12 spaces away from this particular crime that they never investigated during that time.
Right. And I'll ask you about that a little bit later on down the line. These individuals who are parked in that vicinity. So you're interviewed that night. You go back to your shift, and so this is in 2005 years lapsed. What was going on with you in these 5 years between that time?
I mean, personally, the only thing that was really going on, there was a lot of media attention surrounding this particular event. And for me, I just continued on with my life. I ended up started selling cars at Sierra Toyota in Lancaster, California. And I was there for about 2 years selling cars. And during that 2 years, there was a lot of, like I said, media coverage. And the victim's family actually went on the Montel Williams show. They went on the Maury Povich show. There was a skit on America's Most Wanted about the case. And, for me, I did a conjugated interview with the LA detectives, which in a sense would be used against me. As you stated earlier, the information that I provided, they in turn took that and used that against me, all those years later. And so in 2003, I decided to go on the active duty side of the National Guard, which is what I was in for so many years at that point. And I became a recruiter assistant. And shortly after that, in 2004, I had got orders to deploy to Iraq.
Wow. So can you tell the viewers a little bit about your time in Iraq, like what that experience was like for you?
Yeah, so
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
my experience was it was stressful. I mean, there's a lot of things that took place. So I ended up being what's known as a filler. A filler is somebody that they will pull from a different unit, and they'll put you with a unit that needs that body. And I held a particular MOS, which is an infantry MOS. I had two of them. I was in transportation, and I was actually an infantryman at one point for about 8 years before I switched my MOS. And what they did was they pulled me from my transportation unit and put me with another unit as an infantry soldier. And these gentlemen that I met up with, I'd never met before, didn't know them. And I said, me and James, I talked about it earlier. We formed, a brotherhood, a bond, because we're going into a hostile situation every day. We were outside of the wire 3 times a day, and we lost a couple of friends, and
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that. I'm sorry about you losing a couple of your buddies. I've never been in deployed in any active war, but I'm 47 and I've been a gang member since I was 15, and I just the last 5 years recently swore it all off. But I've lost a lot of people.
You have 60 seconds remaining.
So I definitely know what it's like to lose. Certainly not in that environment. But yeah, I just want to send my thoughts out to you for that, man, for losing your buddies. So when you come home, was there any police contact after coming back home?
No police contact at all. I did find out. Arrest. No, not at all. I did find out later on that they had me under surveillance, and I had found out that there was a warrant issued for my arrest. But of course, I didn't know all this during that time, and they were just watching and waiting for me to leave the house without any of my children with me. And that's pretty much what happened there. They waited for me to leave the house. And
All right, Ray. So my apologies. So these calls only last 15 minutes. So
15 minutes.
Yeah. There it is. So right now we gotta wait for Silas to call back. And for anybody that's just joining us right now, we're having Silas Johnson, which is located in Sentinel State Prison. He's interviewing Ray Jennings, and you might be wondering who Ray Jennings is. You probably know who he is. If you're a Dateline NBC buff, he came up on 2 episodes. One under the name of the girl that knew too much, and another one. Sorry, not the guy that knew too much, and then the girl in the blue Mustang. All right, so we got Silas calling us back, and we'll go ahead and plug in this call.
This call is now being recorded. Link. You have a prepaid call from
Silas Johnson.
Hey, Ray.
An incarcerated individual at the Sentinella State Prison, Sentinella, California. This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. To accept this call, say or dial 5 now.
Just that part.
Thank you for using Global Tel Link.
Okay, all right. Hey, thank you, Silas, for calling back.
Okay, you guys have me back. Okay. All right. Oh, so Randy, can you tell us about the day you were arrested?
It was December 13th, 2005. Like I said, I had been home for right at a month from Iraq, and I had a carload of Christmas gifts that I was getting ready to take to UPS to drop off for my daughter who lived out here in North Carolina. And so when I left the house, I didn't have any children with me. And I just remember making a right-hand turn onto Avenue K in Lancaster. And I looked up in my rearview mirror, and there was about 5 squad cars at that time. And they all had their lights on. So I pulled over, and, that changed my life forever right there. I was asked to get out of my car and, lift up my shirt, turn around, get down on the ground, and they approached me and put handcuffs on me and put me in the back of a squad car.
Wow. So you at this point, had you had any interaction with the criminal justice system? Had you ever been arrested before?
No, sir. I'd never been involved with any type of criminal activity, never been arrested, none of that stuff.
So you're arrested and presumably transported to either some kind of substation in Lancaster, or is it directly to the LA County Jail?
No, they put me in the substation in Lancaster. I was there for about a day. You know, you have to go. I was arraigned, and then shortly after that arraignment, I think the next day I was transferred down to Men's Central Jail in downtown LA.
So a lot of people, I'm from Pacoima, from the San Fernando Valley, so I've served time in the Los Angeles County Jail, Men's Central Jail. For all of the viewers, can you just give them a little window into what life was like in the LA County Jail?
Wow.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
For somebody that's never been to, you know, prison or even county jail or anything of that sort, it was, man, you can't, I mean, what words can you use to describe something like that? Wow. I don't know, man. All I can say is that it was absolute stressful. It was a scary moment. And when I first got to Men's Central Jail, they put me in 1700 on Fish Row. And wow, the amount of J-Cats that were on Fish Row, people beating on the walls all night, people singing and rapping all night, people hollering up and down the tier all night. And yeah, it was just complete chaos, man. I really didn't know how to process all that at that time.
Man. So how long did you serve in the county jail before ultimately being found guilty?
4.5 years.
4.5 years. That is a long time for anybody, particularly somebody who has no experience with incarceration, the criminal justice system, and any of that.
Yeah, it was
3 trials.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say those 4 years were they were probably the most mentally challenging. I mean, my combat experience wouldn't even match up to being in LA County and dealing with that situation. I'd have rather been back in combat than in LA County dealing with all the nonsense that goes on inside of there. And you know, and that's not to you know, put anybody down as far as what they believed in and what they chose to do. But for somebody like myself, who was not a banger, to come in and have to stand alone in a sense, you know, because I did not run with anybody. I did not join the wood pile or anybody's prison gang. And, you know, it was a very challenging moment for me, but I stood on what I believed in, and whatever the consequences may have come, I was willing to accept. So I was in high power the whole time. I was down in 1750 for a little while. Well, most of the time in 1750, which is one of the housing units in Men's Central Jail. For people who know about like O.J. Simpson or whatever other famous celebrities that people may have known, that's where they were housed at during that time. And but yeah, it was a very, very challenging experience for me.
Yeah, I was. Robert Blake was actually housed there when I was going through my whole trial in high power.
Yeah.
So ultimately, you went through 3 trials, and the first 2 were mistrials before being found guilty in the 3rd of Michelle's murder. Did you ever, throughout this time, your 4 years in the county jail, consider that you could be found guilty?
I mean, I'd be lying to say that the thought never crossed my mind. I mean, for anybody that's never been to trial before, especially a murder case, it's very, I guess, damning in a sense when if you're the person that's being charged with a murder, and when the district attorney and the state is presenting its evidence and they let's just, for example, they start posting pictures of, let's say, the crime scene, and then you have a young lady who is, shot to death in her car, and then they portray they put the photos of the autopsy on the scene on the big screen up there, and then you see this same young lady with rods, face and her body, and then you got a person pointing at you and saying that Ray Jennings is the one who is responsible for this, Ray Jennings this, Ray Jennings that. And so when you see the reaction of a jury, and they're crying, and then the victim's family's crying, and then they're pointing at you, it's like, to be honest with you, nothing else mattered after that point. And that's the scary part about going to trial. It's like people forget the evidence. They stop looking at evidence and they start looking at the pictures, and that's what they have seared in their mind. Is this young lady who's been shot to death, and then they have these rods and the victim's family back there. So now they don't even look at you as being, a father or a service member or whatever, a productive person in society. It's just you're the killer of this person, and nothing else matters now. We're gonna pin this on you, and that's it.
Hey, Silas, let me interject right here.
And you bring up an issue. Absolutely.
Let me ask you something, Ray. Did any of the jurors that found that were hung juries, did anybody ever reach out to you? Like,
well, nobody reached out to me personally, of course, but they did reach out to my attorney. So after my first trial, a lot of things happened behind closed doors, and usually we don't know about these things. But a few of the jurors had actually reached out to my attorney through the clerk of the court, and they wanted to express to my attorney what had transpired in that deliberation room. And mind you, my deliberations weren't like a day or two or three or four. They deliberated for a week during my first trial, and my second trial I think was a week and a half, and then my last trial was almost 4 weeks. They deliberated on this, and the first trial, what they told my attorney was during their initial vote, they all had put down not guilty because there was no evidence to suggest that I took this young lady's life. And the next day after they went and slept on it, they came back in, and there was 2 of the male jurors who had went online and did some type of research, which they should not have done, and nothing damning towards me, but I guess they didn't like what they found on the internet, and so they kind of brought that into the deliberation room, which was not supposed to happen. And then one of the jurors actually reported that's what had happened, and the judge brought everybody into the courtroom and said, "Hey, this is," he reprimanded them in a sense. But by that time, things it has swayed people's views of things, and that's how I ended up with that first hung jury. The second one, I'm not too sure about. I don't know exactly what happened during the second trial, and of course, on the third trial, it was moved back to the city of Lancaster, where this crime took place, and that's where I was found guilty at.
Thank you for shedding light on that, Ray. I'll go ahead and hand it over back to you, Silas. Thank you.
Yeah, so you brought up an interesting point about the presumption surrounding the presumption of innocence and how the system operates, how that really doesn't bear out. I couldn't have said it more eloquently to have you sitting at a defense table and have all of this horrific material being displayed, and you're the person there. Someone has to pay for this. And I think that it can't be overstated that people in society who don't have any experience with the criminal justice system, they presume that the police have arrested you, the district attorney has charged you, it's you. You've done this, and
this is correct.
So the presumptive, right. So the presumption of innocence, it really needs to be re-examined in our criminal justice system. And I'm talking about as far as bail, someone that has, someone affluent who has the means to bail out, because it's not a secret, especially in the age of information, if someone is incarcerated during the time of this trial, just because you give someone a suit and walk them out there in the courtroom so you sit down at your defense table dressed, like that's really not an indicator that you're free,
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
Well,
Silas, look,
doing their own quasi-investigation. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, that was one thing that I kept bringing up constantly during my incarceration was the whole presumed to be innocent, right? Because how is it that I'm being presumed innocent when I'm being treated just like a criminal? Like I'm being treated like I had been convicted already, right? How do you set a $1 million bail on somebody who has no criminal record, on somebody who is presumably innocent? And I mean, if I wanted to run from this situation, I would have ran in the year 2000. Why did I stay in the same community for the next 5 years? Like there were so many things that I didn't understand, and to this day, as I sit here, there's a lot of things I don't understand about the legal system and things of that sort. And not to bash on anybody, but I can understand the system in a sense if you have a criminal record, if you are and have been charged and found guilty with justifiable evidence, not circumstantial made up to fit your scenario evidence, but legit, like this is a smoking gun pointing at you, and no one else did this but you. And I can understand that, but for somebody like myself, like why did you handcuff me, and why did I have to strip search every time I left my cell and every time I went back to my cell? I had to, and how it goes, man. What they want to do. They want to look all in.
You have 60 seconds remaining.
It was very demeaning in a sense. I mean, I got used to it after a while, but none of it made sense to me, and to this day, it still don't make sense.
Yeah, that's pretty powerful, man. Like just the dehumanizing factor of incarceration. I'm not sure a lot of people really understand like the things that people in here go through, and there are security preventive measures, of course, that have to be adhered to for correctional officer safety as well as ours. But we know the other side of that, the extra side of that, the humiliation side of someone in a position of power, and I think it just speaks to the need for change in a lot of areas and corrections, and hopefully people like you telling their story will bring that about. So I'm gonna time.
All right, so he's 15. Okay, so did we lose Ray? You there? We can't see you. Can you hear me? All right, so for anybody that's here right now, Ray, he was found factually innocent, or they exonerated him after being in prison for 11 years. So his story is not like anybody else's story that has previously been here. Can you hear me, Ray?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. Let me Silas is calling back, and here we go.
This call is now being recorded. You have a prepaid call from
Silas Johnson,
an incarcerated individual at the Centinela State Prison, Centinela, California. This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. To accept this call, say or dial 5 now. Thank you for using Global Tel Link.
Hello, Silas.
Oh, okay, I'm back.
Hold up, Silas. Ray, can you hear us, Ray? Because your screen went blank. I'm not sure if you veered off the TikTok screen, and that's why we can't see you.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Okay.
Just send us some text messages out. I
just wanted to double check because I know you mentioned that you had until about 6 o'clock. How much time do you have in your hands before?
We're good, brother. Let's just roll with it, man.
All right, cool. We appreciate that. And I just want to say something before you start up, Silas, because people are asking questions of how much how much was his sentence or surprise as far as why he's out after 11 years. He was out after 11 years. So I want to point out that Ray was, after those 11 years, Ray was exonerated. He was you were found not guilty, right? What's the exact terminology?
Yeah, so the exact terminology, which is pretty much not guilty, is factual innocence. So yes, I've been released, and all the charges have been dropped and cleared off of my record. And yeah, I mean, so in a sense, that the detectives in the state realized that they made a grave error, and I was fully exonerated and cleared of all charges.
Okay, thank you for that, because I know there's a lot of confusion.
And I just wanted to point out, right, like how extremely rare this occurrence is. The conviction integrity unit within the district attorney's office took a look at Raymond's case and said, "Hey, this isn't right. Something stinks here. This is wrong." And they went back and reviewed it, and ultimately he was fully exonerated and vindicated of all of the charges and declared innocent. And I just can't overstate how extremely rare that is for a district attorney's office to reverse course and to second guess their decisions, because there are people in prison who have factual innocence and they're not obtaining relief because district attorneys rarely admit that they were wrong. So I just wanted to put that out there and just further endorse Raymond's innocence.
Yeah, well, there's a lot more to that than how eloquently that you just said it, right? Because my attorneys that picked up my case, they had came across what was known as the CRU at that time, which is the Conviction Review Unit, that was formed by Jackie Lacey, Kamala Harris, and a few other people. Not to name everybody, but and he ended up. My attorney actually wrote a 33-page letter that you can search out online, and you can see what was presented state-wise, what the state presented as far as evidence, and what the actual factual innocence was, the factual evidence, I should say. And, there was a lot of pushback in the office once my case came to light. Like they did not want my case to be brought forth. And it was told to me by certain individuals in that office that they were told to push my case under the rug and just let it die. So those names will never be mentioned by me. They may come out. They may come out in another platform somewhere, but they won't be mentioned by me. But it's not. Just like you said, this was a rare occurrence for me, and this is a rare thing. Even though this organization was formed to do exactly what it did for me, it's all smoke screens, to be honest with you. It's all just for political views and things of that sort, because I think to this day there's only been 4 exonerees since this organization has came to light, me being the first. And shortly after myself, there was another young man that was exonerated, but I don't think he got the factual innocence exoneration. I think there was something wrong on the technical side of things, but that's neither here nor there. I mean, he was exonerated by this organization. So, I just wanted to clear that up, man. It's not as easy as what people may think it is to reverse a murder conviction. It was a very difficult process, and justice did prevail, and there was some divine angels in my corner that day when I was exonerated.
Absolutely, man. And we're rejoicing because of it, man. And we're glad to have you back out there free, man, and experiencing freedom. So the day that you were found guilty, what type of emotions were you experiencing that day?
Man. Oh, man, it was, I think as I look back on some of the videos from the news media of that day, I held my composure pretty well inside the courtroom. But as soon as I was escorted outside of that courtroom, it was a devastating blow for me. I didn't know how to respond to it. I was put back in that holding tank, and I could barely walk. Like my legs were so weak and shaking. I just couldn't believe that I just got found guilty of this crime.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
I just remember the only person that I called, shortly after I got back to that holding tank was Big Mama, and that man, it was probably.
Man, yeah, I can't even imagine that. So after that, you received your sentence. In what sentence did you receive?
Yeah, so at my sentencing, I received 40 years to life. So I got found guilty of second-degree murder, which was 15 years, and then they gave me a gun enhancement for 25 years. So it all totaled to be 40 years to life, with my first eligible parole date in 2045.
So if you were in here, that'd still be 20 years off.
Correct. Yeah, I'd have been down for 20 years now. Yeah.
So what was your time like in CBCR? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
It was interesting, to say the least. Yeah. So what I is everything that takes place in county jail, no matter what county jail you're at, it's going to follow you to state prison, because somebody's going to know who you are from county. Like I don't know how. Well, I do know how it spreads now, but word always gets around. So when I ended up in Delano State Prison at reception, and you're on the main line in GP, it was an eye-opening experience, because now there's no longer, I'm no longer segregated to a cell by myself. Now I've been put into a situation where the yard is open. You go to yard with the mask, and it's like, what do I do? So what did I do is, I think I'm a smart individual when it comes to that. I did 4.5 years there, and I've learned a lot. And so, did I join anybody's prison gang at that time? No, I did not. But did I show respect to everybody else that, had associated themselves, or, that were just gang bangers in general? So, yes, I did. So everything is segregated in prison, as you know, on the GP, and so white tier, black tier, others, Southsiders, and you may have some Norteños every now and then, but not too often, mixed in with the Southsiders. But yeah, so I just respected everybody and what they did, and for the most part, a lot of people respected me and what I stood for, and what I was not going to associate myself with. But in the long run, after being on the main line for about 1.5 years of watching my back, including who I was celled up with, because I didn't politic in a sense. I had to be mindful of my surroundings at all time, because it wasn't other races that I was worried about. It was my own particular race that claimed to have your back that I was worried about. And so a lot of the COs, correctional officers, they knew about my case. They had seen my case on TV. I did find a lot of favor with some of the COs, and a lot of them believed in my innocence. And I just carried myself in a respectful manner, and that really helped me out and translated into a pretty peaceful experience, in a sense, going through the prison system.
We've operated on separate ends of the spectrum in here, and I mean, I can't imagine your experience in here and how difficult that would have been to maintain, because I know what this environment entails and how racially charged and politically charged this environment is. So like, how many can you estimate, like, during your time on the yard, like how many violent incidents you've seen occur?
During my time, I think I witnessed on the yard probably a good 8 or 9 violent attacks, including one all-out riot, which that happened at Corcoran State Prison. And yeah, that was wow. I mean, it exploded so fast. Like, I mean, you just didn't. I didn't know.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
You know, it wasn't. It was between blacks and Mexicans over a football game, and it just escalated into a full-blown riot on the yard, and yeah, it was complete chaos. But yeah, violent. You know, there was a lot of fights everywhere. People being jumped. You know, there was even people who got killed at Centinela. You know, their cellies. People were getting killed left from, not left and right, but yeah, it happened a couple of times while I was at Corcoran, actually, Corcoran State Prison.
Corcoran, for all of the viewers who don't know, Corcoran is one of the most notorious prisons in California. I served 5.5 years there in the segregated housing unit between 2008 and 2013, and I can attest to what Raymond is saying. It's not a fun place to be at all.
Oh man, we was there at the same time then.
Yeah, I arrived there in April 2008. I was in 4A, 1 right, and I went to 4B, 4 right, and we had a riot with the Northerns on the group yard in November 2008, November 22nd, and I got shipped to 4B, and I was in 4B2 left, and I had a violent incident where I stabbed my cellie in 4B2 left, and later extracted and got moved over to 4B2 right, and spent my last, from 2009 until 2013 in June, I spent my last few years over there, and Corcoran was they play rough there. They play rough there.
Yep, definitely do.
So during your time, while you're serving your time, I'm pretty sure you're going through the appeal process. At any point did you exhaust all of your appeals?
Yeah, so all of my appeals have been exhausted. Everything had been upheld, and at a certain point, I had found out about this organization, the oh my goodness, it's Innocence Project. Man, it's slipping my mind for some reason.
You have 60 seconds remaining.
I found out about the Innocence Project, and I had requested an application. I submitted an application with them. I found out some numbers that only 2% of those applications get looked at, and only less than 1% actually get accepted. And when they do accept one, it's because they believe wholeheartedly in your innocence. And so my case was actually accepted by the Innocence Project out of San Diego. And that was like a very bright light at a very end of a dark tunnel at that time.
That was my next question for you, actually. Was there ever a point when you began to lose hope that you'd be vindicated?
I'm going to let you hang up and call back before we get into that one.
Absolutely.
All right. Hey, so
there we go.
So somebody's asking me, how come you guys can't see Silas? You guys cannot see Silas due to him being on the phone. He's calling us via his tablet. Unfortunately, they're having some issues with their tablets over there. I did want to bring him on video. That didn't work out, so we went ahead and proceeded via video call or TikTok with Ray, and Silas via phone, and me also on video and whatnot. So that's what's kind of happening right now. So I know a lot of you guys are used to you guys are here because of the parole board hearings or because of the initial appearances that we do in Maricopa and Florida. I wanted to bring you guys a different aspect of the things that happen, either behind the walls or how you end up there. And in Ray's case, he ended up incarcerated, if you will, for something he didn't commit. These things do happen. I would say the majority of people that I have brought on before, they've all committed their crimes. But Ray, in Ray's case, it wasn't the case.
This call is now being recorded. You have a prepaid call from
Silas Johnson,
an incarcerated individual at the Centinela State Prison, Centinela, California. This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. To accept this call, say or dial 5 now. Thank you for using Global Tel Link.
Silas.
Okay, I'm back.
All right.
Yeah, I'm back.
So yeah, to answer your question before we got disconnected, did I ever lose any hope or faith or anything of that? The answer to that is no. At no point did I ever lose hope or faith that the truth would eventually come out. Amongst all the negativity, which I'm sure that you also know, that there's nothing on the yard but a bunch of people that are just negative. Like everybody tells you because of their situation, they say because of my situation, yours is the same thing. You ain't never going home. You ain't never doing this. Just admit it. You killed this person or whatever the case may be. And that's what I chose to not surround myself with and stayed away from it. But for me, my ultimate faith was in the Lord. And if people can say one thing or another about a religious aspect, which I don't believe in a religious aspect. I just put my faith and trust in something a little bit higher. And if not for that, I don't know where I'd have been at, because there was times, suicide was real, man. There was times I wanted to take my own life, not because I was guilty of this crime, but because of my situation. And I wanted to, believe in what I believed, and what I still believe is that I wanted to question a higher being as far as why am I in this position? Why is this being allowed to happen to me? And I wanted to question this particular entity that I believe in, which is God, Yahweh, my Lord and Savior and whatnot. But it wasn't until I started reading and studying into the Word that all my questions they were answered in a sense, and I stopped questioning God. And to this day, I don't question God, because if you ever read in the book of Job, starting in around the book chapter 38, when God pretty much tells Job, "Hey man, you need to sit down and shut up, because I'm going to question you. And if you can answer my questions, maybe we'll have something to talk about." And it went on a whole discourse of 133 questions that the Lord presented to Job, and he couldn't answer not one of those questions. And to this day, I can't answer any of those questions, nor is anybody walking this face of the earth that can answer those questions. And that kind of solidified, my faith and believing that one day I'd be, cleared of these charges. But it helps to have a deep rooted support system of your friends and family who believe in you and never turn their back on you. And for myself, because of the NBC Dateline shows, I gained a lot of friends and family that I did not know. Like people, in a sense, fan mail would write to me and express their support.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
That helped out a lot. But during this time, my wife at the time, she filed for divorce back in 2008, and divorce was final while I was about to go through my third trial. And it wasn't because she thought that I was guilty. She was, in a sense, moving on with her life. She pretty much, hung me out to dry and just left me hanging, but I still had other people in my corner and things like that. So it's very difficult dealing with the family life and aspect of things, because I did have 5 children, and that was difficult, man.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's an important point that you just brought up. Life is still moving on out there. We're kind of in a state of suspended animation in here, but life is moving fast, and kids are growing up, and old love interests are moving on, and and parents and are getting older, children are getting older, and things don't stop out there, and
Yeah.
I think that's to me, that's one of the most egregious aspects of injustice, is the fact that you sat in prison all of those years while all of these things were happening, because of something that you had nothing to do with. So, man, it's just astounding to me.
Yeah.
So,
but
how do you find
yeah,
out that your conviction was being reconsidered?
I found out. Well, I found out. So when in 2000, and let me put this in perspective. So 2015, my case had been constantly being aired on Dateline in different platforms, on different channels, and there was a young man who was sitting at his laptop in 2015, and he saw a link. A little flasher on the side of a website that he was on that said Iraq war veteran, convicted of murder or whatever the case may be. And it caught his attention. And as he tells the story from his point of view during that time, that some inner force compelled him to click that link. And this is somebody who does not watch TV. He doesn't watch these reality or crime shows or anything like that. And so when he watched his 2-hour episode of my particular case, he, as I know now because he's told me, he was intrigued. He couldn't understand, especially when I at my sentence, and I turned around and I addressed the victim's family face to face, and he said for him, that's what sold him on me not being guilty. He said no guilty man is going to turn around and look at a victim's family and say what you said to them. And that wasn't planned, because during my sentencing, oh man, I had some evil things that I wanted to say to the family. I wanted to, just like they spewed out all this evil against me, I wanted to spew out evil against them. And but instead of that, I just let what was in my heart instead of what was in my mind speak to them. So he found that case, and subsequently he did about 8 hours of research on my particular case, everything that he could find public record wise, and none of it made sense to him. And he took it to his dad, who is he's a civil attorney, not a criminal attorney, but a civil attorney, and suggested, hey, if there was a guy that was in prison that was wrongfully convicted and is innocent, would you be willing to help him out? And, it was a little reluctant on his father's part, but he did accept the case. And after a year of them being on the case, they got me exonerated. But the question that you asked is, how did I find out? Well, as you know, in prison, man, there's one thing that we don't do is share too much of our business, right, concerning our cases and what may be transpiring with your case, and nobody really knew what was going on behind the scenes, particularly because I didn't talk about my stuff like that. I mean, my stuff had been aired out enough on TV, and guys were watching that stuff in the day room when I would be on TV. So, it is crazy to me. But so in June of 2016. I had found out through my attorneys that they were going to entertain my case as far as releasing me goes. They had lost confidence in the conviction, as they say, and that's how I found out. Now, interesting enough, everybody else found out what was going on because, as you know, in prison, everybody watches the news. at a certain time of the day.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
At this point, I was in Chino State Prison. I had left Centinela and I had been in Chino. And so it was about 5:30 in the evening, and my bunkie at the time, he jumps up. He was on the bottom bunk, and he jumps up off his bunk, and he's like, "Oh shit, bunkie!" I mean, I'm supposed to cuss. He's like, "Oh man," he said, "Dude," he said, "You're on TV right now." And I'm like, "What?" He said, "Yeah, man, you're on TV." Because my bunkie I didn't even tell my bunkie what was like really going on. You know, he knew something was going on because I was moving stuff. I was getting rid of things and told him he could have all this stuff and so forth. So on the 22nd of June of 2016, he found out, and just about everybody at Chino State Prison found out, man. So that's how the silence was broken in a sense, you know.
Yeah, wow, man. That's amazing, man. God is good, man.
He is.
So, like, at this point, like, you'd already been let down by the criminal justice system, like, and like to rebound, like, in such a magnificent way, man, and to be vindicated. Like, what was that feeling like while still being in here?
Oh, it was surreal, man. It was surreal. You know, for again, you have to put yourself in that position, like somebody like myself, who I've never judged anybody. I mean, if you've been arrested and you've been charged with a crime, I mean, you know, you can't say that person is guilty because you don't know what's behind. You know, you just don't know what's behind closed doors. You don't know what's going on, and so I'll tell you this: that the day that I was released on June 23rd of 2016. I thought it was fake, man. I thought it was setting me up for the okie doke. You know, I thought that as soon as I walked out of the courtroom, I was going to be met with a whole bunch of other, officers that were going to place me right back under arrest and throw me back into this county for something else, you know. So it was it was scary, man. It was scary. I was extremely nervous. I just remember I was shaking uncontrollably. I think I hit it pretty well when I look at the videos, but inside, man, I was a complete wreck, man. I just keep it real with you, you know. You can be hard all you want, but yeah, in the inside, I was all over the place, man.
Yeah, man, I can't even imagine how that must have felt. So, as someone who's been falsely accused, convicted of, and found guilty of a crime you didn't commit, has it changed your perspective of the criminal justice system and who's at risk and how our system works?
Absolutely, man. I tell you what, I really despise it, man. I despise, you know, even now with so much that's been going on in our world, you know, with law enforcement and you know, the racial injustice, and not to make this a racial thing, but you know, you'd be ignorant if you said anything different concerning some of the videos that have surfaced over the years with law enforcement and how they respond and the taking of lives that they've done. And not to say that, you know, anybody's perfect or, you know, stuff like that, but there's a lot of common sense that goes into things. And yes, you know, people's lives are on the line. And but when you watch certain videos, man, nobody's life was on the line except the person being detained, you know. And for somebody like myself, again, for those that are listening, if you want to experience LA County jails, yeah, those a lot of the sheriffs that and I don't, you know, I just say it, man. A lot of them sheriffs that work in those facilities, man, are some of the crookedest people you ever meet. I mean, they'll set you up to get jumped. They'll set you up to get killed. They'll beat you down themselves if you cross them the wrong way, if you say something the wrong way to them. I mean, I've witnessed it, man, and no one can take that from me. I seen these sheriff deputies, and most of the ones that work in the county jail are there because they're under investigation.
You have 60 seconds remaining.
For something that happened on the street. So now they put them in a more, hostile environment to allow them to do what they want to do. Because, I seen dudes just get stomped out by the sheriffs, man, for no reason at all, just because of what their charge may be. And not to say that I was for the charge. Like, there was a young man in there, young Southsider in there for killing a cop, allegedly. And, man, I feel sorry for that young man. They almost took his life from him inside of a cell. And it was about 6 of them that went in there and stomped that little boy out. It was just crazy to me. But so, it's changed. Everything's changed, man. I still have respect for law enforcement and what they do, but I have a problem with people who, over abuse their position of power in a sense.
So we just lost Silas right now. He should be calling back in a moment or two. I got a question from one of our viewers, Kristen Vasquez, and she's asking, does he deal with mental health?
I've never spoken to anybody in a professional sense. No, I really should. My wife tells me that I should. A lot of things as men, we like to try to cover up until we talk about these things, and then it brings back a lot of memories. Even your combat experiences in Iraq. I don't. I can sit here and say I don't suffer from anything, but if I start talking about it, I'll start. Yeah. So
thank you for using Global Tel Link.
So no, I haven't spoken to anybody in a professional sense, but it is probably something that I will eventually undertake, though.
Thank you for that. I had asked him a question about, or one of the audience members had asked him about mental health, and he was just answering up on that, Silas.
It's so interesting to get Raymond's perspective on the carceral system. When he came in here essentially as an outsider, with no criminal history, no gang involvement, no attachments to the underworld, so to speak, and to come in here and endure this environment and to have his eyes open to everything that the system fully entails. You can tell someone about, what the system and what the judicial system and what the prison system entails, but you really can't bring someone into this experience. This is an experiential thing. Like, you can only get this by living it. And it's really interesting to see Raymond, who is a 100% innocent man who came in here and served 11 years in prison, and someone like me, who is a convicted murderer for second-degree murder and first-degree robbery, and who is a former gang member and who is 100% guilty of the crimes that I've committed, to be incarcerated. How the experience is not that far apart. This system is what it is. And I watched 60 Days in different programs, and it's just really interesting to me from a psychological perspective to see regular citizens get in the carceral setting and how they evolve and they adapt because of what this system is. And I think it's just really interesting to get your take on it. And I just wanted to just comment a little bit on that.
Yeah, it was. It is interesting, man, and you do have to, in a sense, conform to a certain lifestyle, and living in a 2-man cell with another grown man is a challenge in and of it by itself, as you know for yourself, and everything for the most part, as far as your living conditions goes, can be based on having a great cellie. And I was blessed in a sense to where, because I had found favor in the CO's eyes, that I could bring in who I wanted to bring into my cell. So until I found like a cellie that I was cool with, I mean, for the most part, man, if I lost a celly, I would be single cell until I found somebody. And, you know, they were like, you know, Jennings, go ahead and find out, you know, find whoever you want, just let us know and we can make it happen, we'll make it happen. So, but just the adjustment, not only from you know, a normal square in a sense, because that's what we are, right? If I'm not a banger, if I'm not a part of the underground, I'm a square, right? So just to be a you know, part of that, and then people realizing who you are because they've watched you on TV and stuff like that. It was I don't know, it was traumatic in a sense, but I don't know. I conformed well. You know, I just respected everybody. I respected, you know, whatever it is that you chose to believe in and bang with and roll with and run with or whatever, right? That's on you, dog. That ain't got nothing to do with me, man. Like, live your life. If you want to go be a banger and continue to, you know, bang in this prison and do that, then hey, you know, leave me out of it. I'm good. I ain't, you know, you don't need to, you run up on me, then, you know, we'll figure out what happens from there. But I had told James, I had shared with James, you know, I had 3 incidents while I was incarcerated, and all of them occurred on the basketball court. And, you know, nothing ever happened because, you know, I don't know if you have ever experienced it, but if it's a one-on-one and ain't no weapons involved, sometimes the COs just let it play itself out, right? So, you know, what it is, you know, you get down on the court and, you know, shake that dude's hand and ball up, you know, the hell with it.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty much how it is, you know. It's kind of, you know, it's pretty rough in here as far as the terrain for anybody in here. But, you know, like going it alone is a different level. I did 20 years in general population, and after that, like 4 years ago, I left and decided to, you know, do this. And now I'm on a non-designated program in yard, and right. I mean, it's just a world apart from that environment over there. And it's light years away.
But you know, another thing that needs to be.
Speaking of that,
hold on one second, man. You know, another thing that I like to talk to people about, man, and when it comes to that is the aspect of we as men in that position, we have the ability of choice, right? Would you agree?
Absolutely. We always got a choice. We always got a choice.
This is what I don't want, right? I don't want, and I never ask this of anybody. Like, don't have a pity party for me. Don't feel sorry for me. You know, I said because there are some people who walk that line, that choose to walk that line. That is their livelihood. That is what they choose to do. They want to bang. They love the hostilities. They love everything about it. And I don't want people to get it, you know, misconstrued that we should feel, in a sense, sorry for every incarcerated person, because realizing, and again, it's me not judging anybody, but there's some people in there for some heinous crimes, man. And you know that as well as I do. And that there's some people that, you know, they deserve a different type of punishment. And I'm referring to people that want to touch on, you know, little kids or rape women.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
Or you know what I'm talking about, right? The crimes that, you know, we frown upon, and not to say that murder is any better, but yeah, I don't know, man. These guys, they ask for, I need more syrup on my tray in the morning because I can't put syrup on all my pancakes. So I'm a 602 this, man, and write this up because I can't get syrup. You know, it's like, dude, get out of here, man. You know, there's stuff like that bothered me inside. Is the mentality. You know?
Hey Ray, I didn't tell you something about Silas, but Silas is actually, he's the Mac rep, so he's familiar with he's familiar with that.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah. I'm the Mac chairman for the yard, so I just came back from a meeting this morning with all of the building Mac reps in the executive body, where somebody was complaining about their personal issue and just thinking that I was supposed to advocate because of his personal grievance, and that's just not what the forum was for. It's just not what the system was set up for. And yeah, it's just ridiculous, man. Like, you know, some of the things that I was telling James earlier, like the one thing we talked a couple days ago, and I said, you know, the thing that prison has taught me, the most valuable lesson is humility. But I was telling him this morning, like, I never, even as an active gang member, I always underestimated, like, the ignorance of the people that resided in prison, you know, and for a long time, I was one of those people. And just to take a step back from that and remove myself from that and just to see how things are playing out. Like you said, over there on the line, they're still doing the same thing they were doing when I left 4 years ago, you know, and I was gung ho for the first 18 years, and the last 2 years, you know, my heart wasn't really in it. But like you said, it's a choice. You know, I chose to join the gang. I chose to pick up the gun. I chose to rob people. I chose to ultimately commit murder, and I chose to continue creating victims when I came into the penal system. So, and at some point, I decided that that's not what I wanted for my life. I didn't want to be a victimizer anymore. I didn't want to be a destroyer. I wanted to be a creator and a builder. And I made the decision to remove myself from that environment and create an intentional barrier. And since then, I mean, things have been great. I mean, here it is. I mean, I go before board on June 25th for my second hearing. And, man, everything's looking good. I graduate from San Diego State.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
You know, in May, and awesome. You know, things are looking up for me, and I have an opportunity to regain my freedom. You know.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I'm happy to hear that for you, brother, and I pray that all goes well during your board hearing, man. I truly wish you the best. You know, I'm a firm advocate in, you know, people who have changed their lives, and you know, there's about, you know, 15 dudes I still stay in contact with that I consider to be friends. And, you know, these guys have changed their lives around. And I think that's what people fail to realize is that there are some genuine, you know, changes of lives in there. You know, prison, like you said, it will humble you if you allow it to. If you don't allow it to, then whatever you choose, it's going to be your ultimate vice and downfall, to be honest with you. But I pray for these guys that I still stay in touch with. And what's very interesting, man, is that I've had 5 of my cellies that I was cellies with get out of prison, and 4 of them are 3 of them are back in. A 4th one, I have no idea what's happened to him. I think he's unalive. And you know, the 5th one actually just moved back out here to North Carolina, and you know, he kind of, I think I might have shared this with James, man. He, you know, as soon as he got out, he had been down. He did 15 years straight, man, got out and went right back to the same crap that got him in prison in the first place. And I was like, because I didn't hear nothing from him for a whole week. And I'm like, man, what's going on? So I called his mom. Mom told me, well, he's got a phone. You know, he ain't called you. I said, no. So he went right back out there, man. And this is what I try to set these dudes up, man. It's like, even for myself, even though I didn't have a drug addiction, I wasn't a gang banger, I didn't do robberies, I didn't, you know, there's still different things that are out here readily available, you know, and whatever it was that, you know, your vice was, it's readily available for you. And you know, people will listen and some don't, and most of them didn't, and they ended up back in prison. And you know, Carolina, he got out and he went right back to doing some drugs with some old friends of his in the neighborhood. And I'm like, why in God's name would you do that? Dude, you just did 15 years. Like what, you know, I don't know. But it's all about choice. Like you said, brother, it's about choice. I chose not to join anybody's prison gang. And I knew the consequences behind that. And that's the thing, is that I was prepared to face whatever consequences came my way with that particular journey, you know. And it's not about being hard, you know, in a sense, and saying I can take whatever they're gonna dish out, because in reality you can't take it. You know, when they send 2, 3, 4, 5 dudes on you, and each one of them got bone crushers, or 1 or 2 of them do, you're not coming back from that, you know. So, you know, I knew what my consequences were, but I wrote it out, man. I wasn't gonna let nobody take, you know, me what I stood for, what I stand on. You know, I wasn't gonna let them take that from me in prison, you know.
Yeah, and ironically, right, you mentioned that. I think me as a gang member, like all of my life as a former gang member, like all of that, the anger that I had inside of me that I was doling out to victims was a direct result of all of my fears and insecurities. And I think that, you know, you operate so long on fear, and the turning point for me was when I left all of the fear behind, you know, and started operating in faith. And you know, everything changed for me. You know, I was ready to get rid of, to shed the identity as a gang member, as a criminal, as all of these things that I built myself.
You have 60 seconds remaining.
When I became confident in myself and my own abilities to walk my own path without all of those things, you know. And so I think that's really interesting. That's an interesting point that you just made.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Silas.
It is back, man.
Hey, Silas, right now, when you call back, we'll go ahead and wrap it up because I know Ray, he had originally agreed for 6 o'clock, and we're on OT right now. We're on overtime right now. So when you call back, we'll go ahead and finish up. Yeah,
man, I'm good, man. You know, I'm just down here kicking it. My mama was over here listening to me. She's like, "What's going on, Ramey?"
Man, no, but hey, I do appreciate you, man. I do appreciate you know jumping on this video visit with me and you know agreeing to that in-person interview that I haven't released yet, but it is going to be coming. It's going to be dropping soon. With Ray, I actually went out to North Carolina. We did an in-person one, and I want to try a little bit something different with you know with one of the fellas, and you know. Silas, he got those $10 words, man, and I do appreciate him. So he you know, we've done some in the past, so I like his style.
This is Global Tel Link. You have a prepaid call from.
Let me just mute it right now while I'm waiting for. I know how to do it now.
That thing's loud, ain't it?
Super, man. These CL20s, man. I never.
CL20 banging, boy.
Yep. Let me see. I'm about to hit it right now.
Does everybody know about the CL20s, man? Do they know that that's prison from a vendor?
Some people do. I'm assuming some people don't. But yeah, I get a lot of comments in the chat, you know, from time to time, you know, when people recognize, damn, are those the CL20s? Yeah, they surely are. Silas, are you on, Silas?
Yeah, I'm back. All
right. So I'll go ahead and hand it off back to you, and then after this one, we'll go ahead and wrap it up. And if Ray, you know, if he's willing to, then I would love to have him, you know, come back and you know continue. Absolutely. Hopefully, we could do a video visit next time, you know, whenever they have it up and running, so you guys can see, you know, each other.
Yeah, that'd be cool, man.
Absolutely, man. Yeah. So, man, I wanted to thank you. I wanted to thank you, Raymond, for joining us today, man. It's an honor to meet you. I heard a lot of good things about you through James. Like I said, I'm a Dateline, 48 Hours Missed. I'm a crime show junkie. So I actually saw both of the episodes on NBC. And when James and I talked about it, I was as a journalism major, I was immediately, you know, intrigued and wanted to get in on the conversation. So man. Thank you for sitting down with us, man, and man, thank you for sharing your story with us, and moreover, man, like this, I'm extremely proud of you, man, coming through this system and coming out on the other side of it, and getting back out there, man, and living your life, man, and doing what you got to do for your family, man. Like, man, I can't express enough how much I respect you, man, and your journey.
Man, I appreciate it, man, but. Hey, I'm gonna keep it real with you, brother. I wish there would have still been some ballers down there from when I was there, man, because the legacy still continues. Like that's what I love. Hey.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
Hey, we opened that gym down there, you know that. So when I first got to that yard, the gym wasn't open. They had a whole bunch of bunks in there, you know, and we were able to get that cleared out, and we opened that gym up, and you know I don't know if they repaved that basketball court down there, but that thing is dangerous. But we still played on it out there in that 100+ degree weather. But yeah, you know, it's cool, man. I think the only person that I know that's left down there is you know, Matthew. I don't know if you know who he is, but yeah, Matthew and I, we were in a veterans group together.
I know Matthew.
Yeah, that's
I know Matthew. Matthew is he's in IVC right now. He's in 3 building.
Yes, he is. Yep. So, I still stay in touch with him, man. So
speaking of people that you know down here. So I'm in, like I said, I'm in San Diego State in the Vista program, and one of my cohort, his name is Brian Barraza. He asked me, I was telling him that I was going to be doing this interview, and he asked me to tell you hello. He said that you knew him by another name, and I'm trying to think. I think it starts with an S. Mm-hmm. And he was emphatic. He wanted me to tell you what's up. And man. I know he's going. You remember him?
I remember him, man.
Okay. Yeah, he was telling me to tell you what's up. He got a big old Arizona tattooed on his back, and he's from East LA. He's like, man, tell him I said what's up, man. Tell him.
Yeah, I remember him, man. He good dude, man. You said tell him I said mine, man, and much respect to him.
I definitely will, man. I sure will, man. And once again, man, thank you for tapping in with us, man. And man, much respect, man. Much love, man. And keep making it happen out there, man.
I'm trying to, man. I think I can only see a little bit of these comments, and somebody had asked a while back about, I think it was something to do with my family, or did the relationship repair after being found innocent? I don't know if he was talking about, my relationship with my ex-wife, but the answer to that would have been no. No, to just close it out real fast, during that incarceration time, my current wife, she in 2011, she was out here in North Carolina, and she was laying on her couch at about, I think it was 12 o'clock in the morning or something like that, and she heard a voice coming from the TV that sounded familiar, and so she sat up real quick, and as she looked at the TV, and of course I was on TV, and me and Kim had we had flirted with each other many years ago, back in like 1995 or something like that, but nothing ever came to fruition. We never did anything. Anyhow, she ended up reaching out to me in 2011, and we just started corresponding. And of course, this is way before, as you know, these tablets, and that's such a, oh man, that's a blessing right there. But and then in 2012, she started visiting me. Like every other month, she was flying out to California, and she started down there in Corcoran. She came to see me, and then she followed me down to Centinela, and then of course on to Chino. So no, the relationship never healed itself from that. But the relationship with my children has still been somewhat of a challenge, because you have to understand that my kids were very young at the time of my incarceration. And this is for anybody that's incarcerated and they had young children at that time, and has currently served, multiple years. Because as you stated earlier, Silas, life does not stop. Everything continues to go. Whereas for us, we're in a state of suspense every day. It's like a hamster running around in that wheel. And it's still difficult with, dealing with my children, because they grew up without their father. And I was always in my children's lives, of course, but it's something that I won't give up on. I still, I have 4 of my kids that live out here in North Carolina with me now, and well, they live around me, not with me, but it's even for you, my brother, when you're blessed with that day and you get to walk out of that prison, just you're gonna have to take it slow, man, because everything's gonna hit you really hard. You're gonna be overwhelmed with a whole bunch of things, and just don't rush anything, brother. Just take your time, and feel yourself out, and don't get involved with things that, and I'm talking about women, man. I don't even get involved with a woman unless you got one that's strong on your side right now. But it's a difficult transition from being down for so long to coming back out here into the world. And I found that transition to be quite challenging myself, because even for somebody that has never been to prison, but the way that our mentality works inside of those walls, as you know, everything is built around respect. And what you find out here in this world is that people don't respect nobody. Like, people talk to people any sort of way. People do things, and everybody's quick to pull a knife or pull a gun and so forth and so on. Whereas, you know, inside, everything gets handled pretty quickly, right? So it's a change. You have to change your mentality, man. You got to change the way you think, the way you view things. And I'm not talking about you specifically, but, you know, just in general, man. It's like you can't just haul off and you know, if somebody says something to you sideways, you know, we're going to take it over here in this corner. Ain't nobody going to see it. And we can handle it from there. But, you know, it's just, it was a challenge, man. But, you know, what's interesting is, nobody that I've shared my testimony with and shared my story with would have ever guessed that I had spent 11 years incarcerated. Nobody. Because of the way I carry myself. You know, I don't, man, it is too much to live for, brother. You know what I'm saying? You can't hold on to any of that crap, man. You just got to let it go and move forward with your life, man.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. And, you know, I get, over the years, like I said, I just passed 24 years, and having another opportunity of freedom when, you know, 24 years ago, you know, I didn't believe I'd ever be free again. You know, and in a lot of ways, I'm more free now, still incarcerated, than I've ever been in my whole life, you know, and it's because of a lot of the things that you said, you know, laying a lot of those grievances down and changing the way that you think, and changing my mind and heart. And I'm a little apprehensive, because I know that the world has changed dramatically. It's been a quarter century nearly, you know, so I know that the world isn't how I left it at all. And I know that there are going to be, you know, a lot of different challenges as far as culturally and things like that I'm going to have to adapt to, because that culture isn't this culture in here. You know, no matter how much you've changed yourself and how you live your life and walk a straight line in here, this society, you know, isn't prison. And so, yeah, I'm cognizant of that, and I keep that in mind every day, man. And when I left, my daughter was a little over a year old, and she's 25 now, you know, so I've been blessed to be able to reestablish, you know, continue to reestablish that relationship with her. And, you know, I'm married. Unfortunately, my wife and I are separated right now, and I don't know where that's headed, but, you know, I'm focused on, you know, myself, my reentry, and continuing my education in the master's degree program, man, and just being out there and building on my dreams, man, and figuring it out, you know.
Yeah, man, that's awesome to hear, brother.
Hey, Ray, and I want to read off 2 comments to you on YouTube. We have a comment from Kristen. She writes, thank you for all you do, James. Ray, well wishes. Hope to hear more about Silas. Hope I can get Destiny and Tonka in their bond. You're talking about something else, all right? And then we got 90s YA baby writes, I'm happy to know that you were exonerated. Many I think he wrote, many of individuals are wrongfully convicted, overcharged, and miscellaneous prosecuted. Thank you for sharing or shedding light on the damage system in California.
Man, I appreciate that, man. Thank you.
All right. And then, hey, Ray, thank you. I really appreciate you. And you know, to the next time, like I said around here, life's like a candle. Once you blow it out, it's lights out.
That's right, boy.
And with that,
hey,
we're out of here.
I appreciate you, man. Anytime, man. You just call on me, bro.
Hey, I will. I'm gonna call sooner than soon.
That's what I'm talking about, man. I say my love to you guys, man. Much respect.
All right, and tell your mom hi. Tell her thank you for allowing us this hour and a half with you.
Yeah, she was bringing a drink to me.
All right, then, man.
All right, then, brother. Y'all have a good one.
Raymond, blessings, man. Blessings, man.
All right, then.
All right.
All right.